Another day, another fire that burns in peacemaker Pakistan's own backyard. Kashmir is not part of Pakistan. Asim Munir and Shehbaz Sharif have been told what India has been saying for decades now. The only difference is that this time it's the angry protesters in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir who have said this to them. Hours after the Joint Awami Action Committee, or the JAAC, accused the Pakistani military of using explosive drones against peaceful demonstrators, Aman Khan of the JAAC said that Kashmir is not part of Pakistan. His words were greeted with a huge round of applause.
कश्मीर पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा नहीं है, कश्मीर पाकिस्तान की रियासत का हिस्सा नहीं है।
He also warned that if Islamabad keeps on blocking food supplies, locals may turn to other routes. Listen in.
ये जो कहते हैं कि राशन जो है वो कश्मीरियों का राशन बंद करेंगे, मैं कहता हूँ हमें तुम्हारे राशन की जरूरत नहीं है, तुम्हें हमारी जरूरत है। थोड़ा ख्याल करो, तुम्हें हमारी जरूरत है। कहीं ऐसा न हो कि बाकी रास्ते खुल जाएं और फिर तुम हमारी मिन्नतें करो, हमारे तरले करो, कहीं ऐसा न हो।
Now, the Rawalakot region, remember, has witnessed weeks of escalating unrest, deadly confrontations and an intensifying political crisis. What began as a political dispute over representation has now evolved into one of the most significant internal challenges faced by Islamabad in the region in the recent years. These protests have drawn attention to the sentiment that prevails on the Shehbaz Sharif government. For several weeks now, towns, including Rawalakot and Muzaffarabad, have witnessed demonstrations led by the Joint Awami Action Committee, which is a grassroots movement that says that it is fighting for political rights as well as economic reforms. The movement raises long-standing economic demands: cheaper electricity generated from local hydropower, subsidized wheat, greater local control over resources, and broader governance reforms. While authorities say many earlier economic demands had been addressed, the dispute over political representation remained unresolved, becoming the flashpoint for the current crisis. And so the question that many are asking within Pakistani circles is this: are the days of the government numbered? Senior Pakistani journalist Arifa Noor, in her column in the Dawn newspaper, points out the government's lack of success on the economic front and its inability to gain popularity. I quote her here: "The government has little to offer other than its mantra of stability. And this is frankly of little consolation to people who have experienced backbreaking inflation and a slower than a tortoise economy for the past so many years. Even less needs to be said about the PMLN's lack of popularity." She goes on to state about the civil-military leadership that this is more than a hybrid regime now. It is one in which the civilian side takes no risks and asserts no power. There is only one side writing on the page. The other is simply following the moving finger. Not just journalists, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi also called the administration out. He said that it's unfortunate that the oppressed people of Kashmir were fired upon simply for demanding basic rights, adding that there is no rule of law in the country. Essentially, Pakistanis are calling out Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif for acting less like a leader and more as a yes man to Field Marshal Asim Munir. And the proof is all there. From Asim Munir leading the meeting with President Trump at the White House to talking to Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi directly, the Field Marshal seems to hold the reins in Pakistan instead of the civilian Prime Minister. As far as the economy is concerned, Pakistan's GDP growth is projected to be 3.6% by the IMF, which is much below India's and a lot of other countries, while its unemployment rate is at 6.9%. Now, even as Pakistanis face deep economic challenges, the violent instability in Rawalakot exposes the administration's fault lines, where the government chooses to crack down on protesters instead of genuinely listening to them. The Pakistani administration says that security personnel came under armed attack. Officials allege that some protesters opened fire, attacked government installations, damaged public property, and surrounded military facilities. But the JAC supporters accused security forces of using disproportionate force against the demonstrators and the mourners. The International Human Rights Foundation documented a recurring trend of deadly crackdowns on the JAC protests, including violence in May 2024 and in October last year that claimed multiple lives. The rights body called on the Pakistani authorities to immediately halt the use of deadly force against peaceful protesters, lift the internet shutdown, release all individuals who were arbitrarily detained, and revoke the ban on JAC. It has also urged an independent and impartial investigation into all civilian deaths with full access for international observers and accountability for those who are responsible for the unlawful use of force. That clearly hasn't happened yet. Extended shutdowns have disrupted transport, businesses and banking. Road closures and internet restrictions have affected livelihoods. Taxi drivers, shopkeepers and daily wage earners have all reported severe economic hardship as repeated strikes and security operations continue in the region. Well, let's talk about soccer now. The race for the Golden Boot at the 2026 World Cup could go down as the greatest in the tournament's history, with some of football's biggest names shining on the biggest stage. The race has turned into one of the most interesting subplots of the tournament. Leading the table is none other than Argentina captain Lionel Messi. The legendary forward has already made history by becoming the all-time leading goal scorer in the history of the World Cup. Messi, who turned 39 last week, has been in outstanding form, scoring 6 goals in 3 games. That includes a hat-trick against Algeria, a brace against Austria, and a stunning free kick against Jordan, making him one of just the 3 players to score in all 3 group stage games at this year's tournament. Now, just behind Messi are 2 French superstars, Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele, with 4 goals each to their name. The reigning Golden Boot winner, Kylian Mbappe, remember, scored twice against both Iraq as well as Senegal, whereas reigning Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembele scored a goal against Iraq, followed by an impressive hat-trick against Norway. The Norwegian superstar Erling Haaland, remember, is going toe-to-toe with the Frenchman, playing his first World Cup. The goal machine is providing tough competition in the race with 4 goals already. Haaland poses a real threat to any team that he faces. Meanwhile, Brazil's Vinicius Jr. is also on 4 goals each, and like Messi, he scored in each of the 3 group games. Now, what makes this battle so very special is not just the number of goals, it's the quality of the players who are involved. World Cup winners, Ballon d'Or winners, former Golden Boot winners, and some of the greatest forwards of their generation, all chasing the same prize. And by the end of the tournament, we could very well have a scenario where the all-time record is broken twice in the same tournament, with Mbappe just 3 behind Messi in the all-time list as well. China has exposed 3 major cases of financial fraud by local governments, revealing how officials allegedly manipulated records to make their performance look better. The Chinese state media says that the cases involve fake revenue figures, misuse of government funds, and hidden debt. The Communist Party's anti-corruption watchdog released the findings as part of its campaign against misconduct. The biggest case comes from China's Nanning. Authorities say the city falsely added nearly $420 million to its 2024 revenue. Officials allegedly recycled the same government-owned land through multiple transactions and even used one plot as many as 18 times to create fake income. In Gansu province, meanwhile, investigators say officials wrongly labeled a landscaping project as flood control work to secure nearly $8 million in special government funding. In Zhejiang province, officials allegedly forged contracts and inflated asset values to raise money for infrastructure projects. Investigators say this created hidden government debt worth more than $103 million. The Chinese government has not named the officials involved or announced any punishment in these 3 cases yet. But these revelations come as Beijing intensifies its anti-corruption drive right ahead of next year's Communist Party National Congress. Authorities say the campaign aims to stop local governments from inflating numbers through fraud and to ensure that officials are judged on genuine governance rather than manipulated statistics. The development comes as hundreds of China's top military officials just completed weeks of intensive ideological training at a camp that was designed to reinforce loyalty to Xi Jinping. The Communist Party and the Chinese military leadership, and it also, remember, comes just a week after China's ruling Communist Party officially declared a new branch of Jinping's political philosophy as party doctrine. It places strict discipline and complete unity at the center of the Communist Party.